Welcome to Tactical Truths, the playlist where we bring you the latest military news, tactical analysis and stories that matter most to our community. Hit subscribe and join us for sharp insights and frontline perspectives. I'm Phil Campion, former UK SAS, and this is the Tactical Truth. On this week's Tactical Truth, then, we're talking pages. That's right, the pages which were given out and then subsequently were triggered and gave more than just an alarm. So let's get straight in then. I've got a little clip here which was on Sky News. It will just show you what happened to one of the recipients of said pager.
A very modern form of unconventional warfare blamed on Israel.
There you go. Pop. Off it went. Unconventional? Of course that's unconventional. Thinking outside of the box? Of course they're thinking outside of the box. As of yet, nobody's actually claimed responsibility, but the fingers are being pointed, aren't they? And they're being pointed towards Mossad, with good reason, to be honest, because they're no strangers to this sort of warfare. They do think outside the box. They do sneak about. Very sneaky, isn't it? Very, very sneaky. I think it was in 1972, the PLO were recipient of a marble-based phone. That went bang when it was answered by one of their people. And Hamas, a member of Hamas, was also killed by a mobile phone. It's not completely unheard of for Mossad, if it was Mossad, of course, to target in different ways to achieve the aims of what they want to do. So let's have a little further look at this piece.
Communication devices turned into bombs. Even reports of solar-powered equipment blowing up. The attacks underline how anything can be used as a weapon.
That's an interesting point there. Anything can be used as a weapon, all right? Now, that's useful to me if I wanted to use a weapon or target somebody. It's also useful to me if I wanted to protect myself against something. Because in order to do so, you have to understand that just about everything can be utilised to do harm in some way, shape, form or another, all right? So that's a massive thing I take straight from this, all right? And if I was looking after somebody or I was the recipient of a piece of equipment, I'd want to know where it came from, all that sort of stuff. So it's all stuff that's thrown up straight away here to me.
Expose the vulnerability of supply chains relied upon to produce everyday items. This is the type of pager caught up in the blasts.
There you go. Just a normal, everyday pager, right? I think that's a before and after picture there. That's what it would have looked like before. Afterwards, that's what was left. That was obviously recovered from somebody or from somewhere. It's a normal piece of kit. It's just a pager. It's been issued to somebody. So somewhere along the line, it's been tampered with. Somebody has done something to it, which made it obviously go pop. The key to cracking this one is to find out whereabouts in the supply chain was it tampered with.
And what it looked like afterwards.
Commenting on the pager blast, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that civilian objects should not be weaponized.
That's the UN's take on this straight away. Civilian objects should not be weaponized. That's what the United Nations had to say. Civilian items should not be weaponized. And actually, if you look at it from a certain point of view, it's a pretty responsible thing to do, isn't it? All right, you've targeted individuals with them, but those individuals, for instance, could have had their family sat next to them, could have had children sat on their laps. Not the most sensible thing to do, is it?
And further warned that the latest attack on Lebanon confirms that there is a serious risk of a dramatic escalation in Lebanon.
Right, so although the Israelis haven't confirmed or denied anything to do with this pager attack, they have confirmed that they're upping their ante on their approach towards the Lebanese.
Next to be targeted, handheld radios that can be used like walkie-talkies. Publicity material about the AR-924 pager says it has a battery life of 85 days, ideal for use in Lebanon where power is unreliable.
Right, whoever did this has had a good scout about, a good look around, and has identified the pagers as possibly being something they could tamper with and attack people with. So, how they got to the pages remains to be solved or exposed. They might know by now, but they certainly haven't said anything. They've got to have nobbled somebody along the way, haven't they? It doesn't look to me as if they got to the pages in Taiwan. Those pages would have had to travel. They would have been put in cargo. Cargoes would have been checked, etc. Very difficult to get them at factory source, unless, of course, you own the factory. Very difficult to own a Taiwanese factory, I would have thought. So that could be not where I started my investigation with this.
Experts say the pages were tampered with before they were distributed.
Right, experts have done really well there, haven't they? Well done, the experts. I think we all know that from the very off, don't we? Of course they've been tampered with. Pages en masse don't just go pop, do they? And that's a very nice picture there of a pager with a little bomb in it. Oh, where do they get these news people from? Pager, bomb. Right, sorry, let's get back to the script here.
This was likely done by putting a small amount of explosives inside each of them.
Likely done. Likely done. Now, there is likely that there's a small amount of explosives put in each one, but there's also an outside chance that they could have tried to heat the batteries up in some way, relying on them being lithium, and then exploding the lithium batteries. Probably a little bit more difficult to do. Certainly en masse would have been the harder of the options when you look at this, and you look at this diagram here.
Along with a detonator, the battery would act as a power source. A signal could be then sent over the network to trigger the explosion.
So there you go. That is the most layman-termed thing I've probably seen on there. A very nice diagram, by the way. Bomb, detonator, battery. And then the method of initiation, a message being sent to the pager, which obviously sparks it all off.
A similar technique could have been used for the radios.
She says there a similar technique could have been used for the radios. I'd suggest it probably was. And like I said, it's not a technique that hasn't been used before in the past.
The explosions like this one in a grocery store in Beirut have left nearly 3,000 injured. On Wednesday, Lebanon's health minister said the death toll from the blasts rose to 12, including 2 children.
So 12 people killed, including 2 children. You can see there from the first piece of footage, that guy's pager went off in a crowded civilian market. And this, I think, is probably where weaponizing a civilian piece of kit is crossing the line as far as the United Nations are concerned, because it's irresponsible. You don't know where... There's actually a young girl, if you look back at that video, there's actually a young girl who walks off. Her head would have been at pager height if that guy had the pager on his hip. Put the 2 and 2 together, she'd have been stood next to him. It would have been a third child, wouldn't it? So, bit indiscriminate, bit irresponsible. All those sorts of words are going to come up when they look at this properly, aren't they?
Doctors performed 400 surgeries on Tuesday alone.
All the surgeries performed would have been in gopping places, wouldn't they? If you're carrying a pager, the likelihood is it's either in a pocket somewhere here, it's on your hip, or it's in another pocket in your clothing. Pockets next to soft, vital areas of your body. They would have been going off all over the place, wouldn't they? You might have had your hand in your pocket, you might have been holding the pager. From what I've read into this, all the pagers will send a similar message at the same time, which caused them all to explode. An absolutely horrendous attack, really.
Gerarde, who is also a member of Lebanon's parliament, says, quote, "My colleagues and I were in full emergency mode. We were all in the operating room without hesitation. We treated one patient after another, not just focusing on eye injuries, but everything, eyes, faces, hands, and anything we could do."
Okay, so there's obviously been, a huge response to this straight away, and people being taken into hospital. You've heard the figures there, 3,000 plus whatever people injured, arriving at hospital within a short period of time, and obviously an emergency declared straight away.
The medical system is facing many challenges like the rest of Lebanon. He says it is overcoming them and doing well, though he adds, quote, "The fear is for what's coming. What's coming is big." His work could continue at a brisk pace as more explosions occurred around the country on Wednesday.
Such tampering points to the infiltration of the supply chains that delivered the devices.
Here we go. They're having the butchers now at exactly how this happened. So Taipei, Taiwan, that's where these things originated from through a company called Gold Apollo. Gold Apollo, no, nothing to do with us. We haven't tampered with them. Of course they're going to say that. I believe they're probably telling the truth.
The company behind the pager is called Gold Apollo, based in Taiwan, but it claims the pagers that detonated in Lebanon were made by another firm called BAC Consulting, based at this anonymous-looking building more than 5,500 miles away in Budapest.
Now that looks a bit more like it, doesn't it? An anonymous, indescript, non-factory looking building. Oh, looks like someone's house. Why are you making pages in there? So come on, that is a start point, isn't it? That is a huge start point, isn't it? Look at the clues. In Hungary, outside of Budapest, nondescript, looks like a house, and it's banging out pages. Come on. Come on, people. We know that's where it is, don't we? We know that's where it is. So there's got to be some focus on that place, hasn't there, straight away?
BAC Consulting was reportedly given a license to use the Gold Apollo branding, yet a company official has denied involvement. However it happened, the defective pages ended up in the hands of Hezbollah. They exploded in Beirut and other parts of Lebanon, as well as the Syrian capital, Damascus.
So as I'm led to believe, Hezbollah, recognising that there is a security threat to their personnel, change their pages fairly regularly. And so it's not uncommon for them to be receiving a new pager. Whoever did this has recognised that as well and thought that is a great opportunity for us somewhere, somehow, if we can intercept them, to place a new piece of kit into someone's hand that we can then control. If you step away from the humanity side of this, if you step away from the UN aspect, genius. Absolutely genius. They've gone in there, they've recce'd it, they've looked at it, they've understood what they want to do, and they've managed to infiltrate at whatever level a piece of equipment that is going to be given personally to somebody they want to get at. And not only have they recognised that's going to happen, they've managed to get to the piece of equipment before it's got to where it's going so that they can control it. That is genius. No matter what way you look at it, all right, I'm not going into the humanity thing, as I said, that is a piece of work. It really is.
On the assumption that some intelligence body did it, and we, Israel, of course, do not take responsibility, then this is a long-term...
Former head of Mossad, looking at the clues, assuming. He doesn't look like he knows much at all, does he? Not. Not. He can't even look at the camera, can he?
Intelligence infiltration operation. I also estimate that a very, very significant witch hunt will begin in order to try and find out where the loopholes and cracks were.
Well, of course they will. Of course they will. They're not, the Lebanese are not just going to take that line down. They're going to have to try and find out exactly who was got to, because somebody's been got to. Somewhere along that chain of events, somebody somewhere has been the weak link. And whether it be the person that owns the house, the person that buys the kit, the person that procures the kit, somebody has been got to and presented an opportunity to help somebody do something that perhaps they didn't want them to do. If you look back to things like Sir Winston Churchill at the SOE, looking for opportunity outside of the box, outside of the normal way of thinking, then this whole thing has been an absolute genius plan, hasn't it? It's worked. It's done its thing. Whether you agree with it from an ethical point of view or not, they managed to do what they set out to do, and that was maim or kill members of Hezbollah.
While neither confirming nor denying involvement, Israel has now declared a new phase in the war, with focus shifting to its northern border with Lebanon.
There you go. It wasn't us, it could have been us, it might have been us, it wasn't us. Do you know who did it? Of course they're going to. It's confirm or deny, isn't it? Neither or. There's no yes or there's no no. It makes it almost, when there's a confirm or deny, I think people will always sort of like go, yeah, that was you, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, they'd deny it, wouldn't they? You just go, no. So when you go along that, when you have an approach of not confirming or denying it, you're as guilty as a puppy next to a pile of poo. You really are, aren't you? Okay? So that to me says, we did it straight away. I might be proved wrong. I might be proved wrong, in which case, again, I'll eat one of my shoes on here. All right? I don't think I'm going to be proved wrong on that one. I don't think anybody's ever going to be proved wrong or right. So we'll confirm or deny that for ourselves, won't we?
High stakes and fears, this conflict is about to erupt into a wider war.
I think they're right there. I think this conflict is about to erupt into a wider, larger, more aggressive, horrible, stinking, honking war. It's not nice. It's not nice for those involved, those who live there, those who just want to cut around this planet, you know, having a normal life. Again, it's one of these things whereby the people who are really going to suffer are probably innocent to all of this. Let's just summarise then this whole thing. Whoever it was, and Israel aren't going to confirm or deny whoever it was, have wanted to target Hezbollah. They've looked, they've recce'd, they've seen a weak link, they've taken an opportunity, they've executed an attack which has taken a lot of people by surprise. It's not an attack that you could probably pull off twice. People are wise to it now. So in those terms, you've got to get it right first time because you're not going to get a second opportunity to do this. They've done it. They've pulled it off. Now, whether it's deemed as ethical, whether it was responsible, whether it was right or wrong, it's happened and it's going to be dealt with. There'll be a lengthy investigation into how it happened, where it happened, why it happened, but the facts are it did happen. And like I say, whether it was right or wrong, that's not for me to say. That's for the powers to be to decide, and I'm sure they'll all disagree anyway, so it won't matter what's said. You're not going to please everybody with this one. But if you look at it, as I've said, from a complete outside in as an attack, did you want to hurt those people? Yes. Did you achieve that aim? Yes. From that respect, you have to look at it as a very devious, if not almost genius, attack. Thanks for tuning in to Tactical Truths. For more military news and insights, hit that subscribe button. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Stay informed, stay prepared. This is the Tactical Truth.